restart.
Yell it out. Here we go. You're gonna as soon as that thing switches.
753?
Yep.
759.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome to the Tom Hill Show on Brass. Welcome to the Tom Hill Show on Brass City Community TV. Tonight's guest is Robert Philippone to discuss how to turn a hidden asset into a financial windfall. Now it's time for Tom.
Thank you, John. John Fresco, our excellent announcer, also a private lender financial guy, so he knows his stuff. We are very happy to take questions live tonight. If you'd like to call in, we're live on Brass City TV. We'd like to thank the two Als for supporting this program. And our live phone call, it'll be up on the screen from time to time, 203-753-7593. John and I are going to start, though, with a little bit of safety. We've got a giant snowstorm coming, and we want you to use care in preparing for it. But with that said, the latest thing I'm noticing all over the city, John, is that people, landlords and property owners, I'd say at least 30 to 35% of them aren't shoveling the sidewalks in front of their houses. And it shocks me.
Yeah, well, I think there's not enough young kids trying to make a little extra money on the side to take their snow blowers and snow shovels and clear that snow away for them.
You always take the high road.
I got to try to.
So just a reminder, because if you're out walking, it puts you in the road. And then we're driving, and we've talked about driving up here in the dark, and people walking on the sidewalks that aren't plowed, so they're in the gutter, wearing dark clothes. And so that's a reminder for the motorists to really, really be careful. And I learned a trick from Lime Rock Park. The Bob Green, the pace car driver, used to come on my show for safety at WATR, and he talks about verbal driving. When you're driving, you're talking about what you see. Somebody behind me, somebody ahead, I got a red light cone. So it forces you to pay attention, because as I was saying earlier on my way up here, on the highway you're watching for the rest of the cars. 84 was a madhouse driving over here. And then when you get off the highway, all of a sudden I snapped, said, I'm not looking for potholes. I'm not looking for people in the street. And have you noticed, John, the amount of potholes that have developed in the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I know, that keeps driving interesting. It's like you're going through a slalom, you know, you got to get the bob and weave in between the holes there. It keeps you alert.
Yeah, then the cops think you're drunk and they're going to pull you over. I was trying to miss the manhole, Your Honor. Darn. All right, so that's our little safety message for tonight. Please watch your step out there. And again, they're calling for 8 to 12 inches. Make sure you get your snow shovels tuned up and your salt and be ready. I bought a roof rake from Bushka Lumber about 15 years ago because we got so much snow at the
Yeah, you gotta
time.
get off the
and
roof.
My gutters clogged up from too much snow, and it caused a lot of trouble. So to this day, I have my roof rake, and I get out there and I clean the back of the house where the sun is on in the morning. I also had these electric wires put on to melt so that the gutters work. And I got to the point that now the front of the house over the stoop, I roof rake that section so that the sun can hit it. So I think you got to be careful because we are getting a real winter. We're going to get a whopper storm this weekend. And your precautions, John?
I would say watch out for the icicles. A lot of times they're growing off your gutters. A lot of times that's like a projectile. Like you walk by that, it hits you in the head, they'll put you in a hurt locker.
Oh, I'm glad you talked about that. There was an article in the Hearst Media, the new Rep-Am, about the ice missiles. And it is your job, and I'm still seeing, again, 30-40% of cars driving around with the snow all over them. You're supposed to clean them off. The trucks now have to, and the fines now are $7,500 to $1,200, depending on what the story is. And Mr. Philippone, I know we called you about reverse mortgages, but what do you know about safety in the winter?
Safety in the winter, shoveling, bend with your knees. Get out there, help your neighbors, help the people in your community, and by all means, don't lift with your back.
Boy, that's a good one.
Indeed it is.
If you're having back problems, I showed this recently, The Back Mechanic by Dr. McGill. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, when I go home tonight, I'm going to work on my back is sore all the time. But I digress. So thanks for tuning in. Tom Hill, Robert Philippone, our announcer and financial professor, John Fresco from Fidelity Financing. So why don't you just give us the simple talk on what you do for many, many years, reverse mortgages, and take out the mystery.
Indeed. So thanks for having me first, Tom. I appreciate it. And John, thank you so much. I am Robert Philippone. I am a 32-year mortgage veteran. In those 32 years, I've done just about everything in the mortgage space. Last 7, 8 years, I've done nothing but helping homeowners that are age 62 or older with what's called a home equity conversion mortgage, more commonly known as a reverse mortgage. That is my only business, helping those clients. And the purpose of a reverse mortgage, first and foremost, is to allow senior homeowners to age in place, stay at home. It's what the homeowner wants, what their family generally wants. This is a needs-based mortgage, and that is the number one need. Keep you at home, keep you financially solvent, and then the program could do other things from there. That's the simplest way. This is a government-insured mortgage. This is insured through HUD and FHA.
Okay, Mr. Private Finance, what's your next question?
My question was, what are the common uses for a reverse mortgage?
Sure. I mean, the uses of a reverse mortgage are varied. As I said, this is a needs-based mortgage. We have to first, determine what is the need. One of my number one needs is paying off an existing mortgage. So I'll have homeowners that are age 62 or older in a home, and they're making a monthly mortgage payment. Now, these are folks that want to transition into retirement, and making a mortgage payment makes it very, very difficult month over month. So I, with a reverse mortgage, can pay off an existing lien, which is an existing forward mortgage that you might have, or a home equity line of credit. We use the reverse mortgage to pay that off. Reverse mortgage comes with no monthly mortgage payment, so it allows the seniors to free up their monthly cash flow. The second thing we use a reverse mortgage for is to pay for services, again, to help you age in place. These could be things like paying for in-home health care, helping you pay your taxes, and maybe doing some home improvements. You could get money to buy a chairlift to help you go up and down the stairs, a walk-in shower. Anything that you might need, a reverse mortgage can be used for. There is no restriction on how the money can be used.
And we're going to have him continue to explain this here on the Tom Hill Show. And we have a phone line, and whether you're watching on YouTube with Brass City TV, on the YouTube channel, or you're watching on your cable here in Greater Waterbury, 203-753-7593, 203-753-7593. You don't need to give your name, and he can also talk to you about any specific need. So moving along, what are the basic qualifications in order to get this mortgage?
So before I answer the question, let me say this. Reverse mortgages are very misunderstood programs. This is a program that's a program, let's just do the history of a reverse mortgage, and then I'll answer the question. This is not a new program. This program has been going on a long time. This was created by an act of Congress in 1987. It was signed into law in 1988 by President Reagan. So this has been going on a long, long time. So why did reverse mortgage, why did Congress act? Why did President Reagan sign this into law? Well, senior homeowners have a unique problem. They're simply making less money. Many of them are retired. You're making less money in retirement than you were in your working days. But your home equity has gone up. You've got a lot of accumulated home equity with no real good way of tapping into it. Congress and the president recognized that, so they made the qualification criteria different. Now, on a regular forward mortgage that you might have purchased a home with or refinanced, you've got to qualify based upon your income and based upon your credit score. Reverse mortgages don't work that way. You qualify based upon your age and the value of your home. Those two criteria. The older you are, the greater percentage of your accumulated home equity we can allocate to you in cash. And the idea here is we want to put money into your pocket that you could use for any reason. Credit scores don't generally matter. Income doesn't generally matter. But if you have home equity and you're over 62, this is a program that you could use.
Okay, a simple question, and we'll go to
Sure.
John. Is there a way for people to figure out what their equity is simply, or do they need to get a realtor to give them a comparable market analysis or get an appraisal?
That's a great question.
Well, thank you. I'm just full of them.
So, with reverse mortgage, it is a mortgage. I am a mortgage lender. Any mortgage that would be originated by any reverse mortgage lender, obviously including my company, we're going to get an appraisal done. That's going to be the number that we're going to use. I'm going to do an evaluation at the outset of working with a new client. So we have some internal proprietary software. Also Zillow. Just get a general idea of what the home might be worth And then if it looks like it could, we have borrowers apply and we get an appraisal from there. The appraisal obviously is going to be the number one determining of value.
Okay, Mr. John, I'm surprised that you never did reverse mortgages with all your financial knowledge. So what made you bring our guest on tonight, and then your next question as well?
I met Robert at a meeting, and we discussed, since we were in the same lending type of field, we discussed each other, and the reverse mortgage is something that always interested me. Even speaking from experience, my father was on a fixed pension, so he's on fixed income, and I noticed from him, his yearly expenses keep increasing.
Yeah.
And his income stays the same. So I mean, it puts you in a tough financial situation. And I discussed this with him, and we were talking about what are the options, and I wanted to learn a little bit about it myself. So it was an educational process for me as well. We had a cup of coffee and we discussed it.
Well, you know, this John is the financial guru, and I've had him on
I know it all too well.
a lot of finance shows. So you know, you can't know enough about money, and you know, we always tell the parents, especially, you know, buy the Wall Street Journal for your kids, and that's a great piece of advice from Jim Smith, formerly the Grand Wazoo of the Webster Bank. And you know, I go watch him speak whenever he speaks, and he's saying, just have the kids let them look through it themselves and pick something they like, but get them to look at it every day, and because you got to know about money. Or let's say you like Gutfeld at 10 o'clock on Fox News, and he's got Tyrus on there, that big wrestler. You know what besides a wrestler, you know what Tyrus is?
Financial advisor.
A moneyist. And that's what he calls himself. The more you learn about money, the more your life will be easy, in my opinion.
I think money is a fascinating subject because I think a lot of people really truly don't understand it the way it actually works. So I think any education you get at it can only benefit you in the long run.
Indeed. I mean, to talk about money, my clients are all 62 and older, so I've got some statistics about that. Senior homeowners in America right now have $16.3 trillion in accumulated home equity. And that's trillion with a T. I can't even comprehend billion many times versus trillion. So it's a massive amount of home equity. My argument to senior homeowners, many times when I work with them, is, you know, the home equity may do your heirs some good, but right now it's not doing you a whole lot of good unless we utilize a reverse mortgage to allow you to qualify. I'm certainly not suggesting that we're going to spend all of the equity, but take a portion of it, use it to pay your taxes, which are increasing. Your health care costs are increasing. Your groceries, my electric bill has doubled, and everything else. So why sit on that asset? It's a dead asset. And not only is it not helping you, my argument generally to clients is, in many ways, it's hurting you. It feels great, I know, when you look on Zillow or one of the online tools and you see the value of your home every year steadily rising. But what the seniors especially tend to forget about is the higher the value of your home goes, the greater your taxes increase. I just went through a revaluation on my house, and my taxes are up a lot. Homeowners insurance, with all the claims that we've had with the wildfires and the storms, your homeowners insurance is going up. Let the home work for itself. At the very least, pay the taxes in the homeowners insurance.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of let the money work for you. You know, it's the best way to really earn some income.
And if you'd like to see John's talent, if you go to TomHillRadio.com, I've had him on 2 different TV-type podcasts. Al here has played him on Brass City TV. You got to teach your kids about money, or if you don't know about money, and many adults don't know about money, I hate to say it, but it's a very important subject, and once you get going on it, if it becomes a habit, your wallet grows.
Yeah, it turns into wealth. Let me just add something to the elderly here. I did some research recently, and somebody informed me of something that I really didn't realize. They said the fastest demographic growing for the homeless is the senior citizens. A lot of them have fixed incomes. Their expenses keep increasing. They can't afford to pay. They actually get put out of their house or out of their apartment, and they're out on the streets. It's really a tragic type thing.
Robert, I noticed for a while, who's the famous football player from way back when that advertised the reverse mortgages to no end? I think he played for the Not the Jets. Were they a football team?
Was it? Oh, it was Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
I'm not seeing as many reverse mortgages. Have they gone to the internet to market that? You know, where do you get your customers from? And folks, again, if you'd like to call in, you don't have to give your name, 203-753-7593. Our guest is Robert Philippone, and John brought him in because he's an expert in reverse mortgages.
So to answer your prior question, Tom, I mean, I'm part of a trade organization called National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association. Sadly, year over year, we think we're helping, depending on the data you look at, 3 to 5% of the people that could be helped by a reverse mortgage. It is a hugely underserved program. I truly believe every senior homeowner should at least consider a reverse mortgage. You know, it's right for some, it doesn't have to be right for others, but if you're sitting on a lot of home equity, many times it's the best option that you can do to really, you know, improve your life. This could just simply be a lifestyle mortgage, but there's many, many things that a reverse mortgage can do. You certainly should consider it always.
Give me an example of a lifestyle mortgage, and you go, John.
Sure. I mean, lifestyle mortgage, there's so many scenarios. I have seniors that are barely making their taxes. They're in many times they're not making their taxes and so forth. Not only am I going to improve their life on a day-to-day basis, eliminating their mortgage payment, paying their taxes, paying their homeowner's insurance, I'm giving most a check at closing, which can be used for any purpose, paying off credit card debt. And if there's certain things that you want to do over and above that, maybe take a vacation every once in a while, you can go from barely making it to really thriving in retirement. Why let that home equity sit there and do nothing? So that's just one example. But really, this is improving cash flow, making sure that you're making the best out of your years. And to a prior comment that you made, years ago, seniors had a plan in many cases that they were going to downsize. They had a big house, they raised children, put their kids through school, did everything that they were supposed to do, and then the plan was to downsize. Now, with the real estate valuations being what they are, you can't downsize. Your cheapest option is to stay in your house. Yeah. If you buy a house half your square footage with current interest rates, you're going to be paying more month over month than you're paying now. Your best option is to stay at home. That's where a reverse mortgage comes in.
Yeah, I agree that a reverse mortgage could be a big benefit to these elderly that are in a little bit of a financial distress. But I think what the key question here is, I think a lot of people would like to know exactly how much money they could make or get from their house from a reverse mortgage. Could you give us an example of how much money they could actually obtain, and tell us, give us an example so we could put the numbers to, make the numbers seem realistic?
Sure. So with reverse mortgage, this is a mortgage I need to retain first lien position. So first and foremost, if you have a lien on your home, meaning a mortgage, a home equity line, any other lien like a tax lien, things of that nature, I need to pay those off. So money's got to pay, I need enough money to pay that off first. If there's additional money left over, we're going to give that to you in a check. Now the question is, how much? General rule of thumb is, we start you out pretty low on reverse mortgage because the key with a reverse mortgage, you do not need to make a monthly mortgage payment. So if you take a person's age, subtract the number 35, so let's say you had an 85-year-old borrower, subtract the number 35, obviously you're at the number 50. That's about how much of your equity you could tap into. So if you got a $400,000 house, I can lend you $200,000. If you have a lien on the house, like in a mortgage or an equity line, I'm going to pay that off, and whatever's left over, you could take in cash.
Well, the liens aren't equity.
Right, exactly. Yep, I have to pay those off. Whatever's left over, you could take in a check.
John, how did you work it out, if you don't mind? How did you work it out with your father? Because you said he was fixed income and his expenses were going up.
Well, he actually doesn't own a home. He lives in an apartment, and they've been raising the rent every year.
Yep.
It was $175 last year per month, $150 this month. So I'm looking to see if we can get him into elderly housing, whereas they usually take 30% of your income, and that would be your rent payment, or it's somewhere in the vicinity of $800, and then the state subsidizes for the remaining, what the market rate of the rent is.
And there's always some strategy that you got to look into.
Yeah. I would strongly, just getting off
Yes.
on a tangent here, this is separate from reverse mortgages, but I mean, in my father's predicament where he has an apartment, if you have somebody if you are elderly or you are assisting somebody that's elderly, I would strongly suggest contacting your housing authority in your town or city. And they usually have some facility that's designated as elderly housing, whereas you can get your rent at a reduced rate. that's the benefit. Here's the drawback. They usually have waiting lists of at least a year. So, I mean, time is of the essence.
Should you go to the interview meeting with shrimp cocktail and a dozen bagels?
And some bottle of whiskey and something else, maybe.
I wasn't going that far with the booze.
Well,
Robert,
it helps when you oil them up a little
oh
bit.
man, you were just saying though a few minutes ago that you're going to give these people a check, and then I say, do you think that these elderly people that are pulling money out, how many of them have a financial counselor and a budget so that when they get this fresh cash, which could be a couple $100,000 check or more or less, is there any interest by the lender to make sure that they're going to spend that wisely so that they're not broke again in 3 years?
There certainly
I'm not
is.
saying they're broke in the first place, but money management again.
Absolutely. So first, this is a government program. There are many, many benchmarks and safety valves along the way to make sure, A, this is appropriate, B, that clients understand. Beyond the education I would give, the government does a telephone counseling session, which is mandatory by the federal government. I would provide a dozen names typically to clients. You pick one of the agencies, you do telephone counseling. If we have married couples, both need to be on the call, and both always have lifetime occupancy. So there's a lot of education that goes into that piece. The second part with reverse mortgage, which I think is important that we discuss, if you do a reverse mortgage, you are in the home for life. You cannot be forced to sell or exit the home in any way. If you do a reverse mortgage, you still own the home. It's your home. No matter how much money you borrow, you have lifetime occupancy. You have to pay your taxes and you have to pay your own homeowner's insurance, but any principal and interest payment is deferred. So the interest that would be due on the mortgage and the interest, I can't quote you an interest rate without an APR, but I can tell you this, it's designed to mirror what a purchase money mortgage or a refinance would be. So those are typically around the sixes in that range. Reverse mortgage mirrors that. So it's not an exorbitant interest rate. It does accrue. And any money that you're allocated, you could do whatever you wish. You can take the education pieces that you've been provided with, invest the money, or you can take the money and you can put it into an attached government line of credit, which is part of the reverse mortgage, and that money you could tap into in the future. That one is a huge benefit because any money that's in that line of credit, we will extend your borrowing power about 6% a year. So if you leave the money in the line, and in an example, you had $100,000 in that line, end of the year, you're going to have $106,000 in borrowing power. So think of it like a credit card that you haven't charged anything on yet. At the end of the year, they're probably going to increase your credit limit, correct? With reverse mortgage, it's the same way. We're going to take that line, we're going to increase your borrowing power year over year.
All right, so what I see, John, and this is you counsel people on this all the time, it's going to be a small windfall, but you're still going to have operating expenses, your groceries and all. It sounds to me like, I don't know whether a CPA can advise, but I mean, what would you say to people, John, on having a budget and managing this new money so they don't end up broke in 3 or 4 years?
What I would suggest is first create a budget so you know exactly what your yearly expenses are, so you know you need at least that amount. Second, I would say is how much money you're getting, and you could either, if you can't do it for yourself, I would seek out a financial advisor to put that money to work for you. Now, he did discuss the equity line of credit, whereas he's getting 6%. I think if you have a financial advisor, they could probably get you somewhere between 10 and 12. Not that I'm saying his option is bad. I'm just saying if you want to be a little more risky,
Well,
you could
for
actually
elderly
generate a little
people
more.
don't want to be risky.
A little more risky. I'm not saying real risky.
But maybe you apportion it. But what are you seeing, Mr. Filippone, with regard to once you've given somebody the check and maybe you check in on them in a year or two, any success stories or warnings?
Well, we have a lot of success stories. One, before I talk about the success stories, let me say this. Any money that gets dispersed is not considered income per se. This is a non-taxable event. So you do not need to pay income taxes on this money. The federal government, being the IRS, looks at this as proceeds from a loan, which is what it is. I'm a mortgage lender. Any money that's advanced from a reverse mortgage is not considered income, so no income taxes. The money that is advanced to you also is not something that is going to impact any income-based benefits you may have. So if you get a tax reduction based upon your income from your town or your municipality, it's not impacted. If you're getting any kind of other fuel assistance, SNAP benefits, whatever it may be that's income-based, these monies don't impact that in any way. So there's a lot of upside. As far as the money, let's talk about how you could take money in a reverse mortgage. You can take money in a lump sum. Some do and invest it, as John indicated. Some put the money into a line of credit. Others take monthly checks. Those are called tenure payments. Now, I'm not saying 10-year, I'm saying tenure. So these are to be monthly draws. These would be clients that are looking to have some additional income, $1,000 a month, that sort of thing. So if I had $200,000 to lend you and you preferred to take the tenure payments, you could take $1,000 a month.
Hold on, John, is that like an annuity?
Yeah, that would be similar to an annuity.
Yep. It worked like an annuity. Or you could take a combination of all three of those things. And to answer your original question, Tom,
Which it was so long ago.
usually it's a combination, is where I was going with that.
Yeah.
They take a little money at the closing, put a little money in the line of credit. Fewer borrowers do the tenure payments. They like to generally be in control of their own money. So I usually see a typical client pay off an existing mortgage, $50,000, $60,000 equity line, something like that. I give them a check for $50,000, $60,000 at the closing table, and I put another $50,000 or $60,000 into a line of credit for future borrowing power. And if they don't tap into it immediately, that line keeps growing about 6% a year.
And I think CDs are now 3.5% or 4%, so that's above market and it's very safe. And you might want to get your pad and your pencil in just a minute. I'm going to give you all our contact numbers and who we are, so that if you have questions on this educational show here tonight on Tom Hill Live at Brass City TV, we'll appreciate it. If you want to give a call, and there's no pressure on that, 203-753-7593. I'll repeat it, 203-753-7593. And if you're watching on the Brass City YouTube channel, that phone number does work as well. So how many people already have a family lawyer, or do you have to recommend 3, 4 people to do this transaction? And I say the family lawyer because some people like to get advice.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. You can use your lawyer. Probably about a third of my clients do have a family lawyer that we utilize. About a third more come to me and ask me for a recommendation, of which I'll give 3, typically elder care or elder law attorneys, I should say. So 3 of those. Some other ones want to, to minimize costs as far as closing costs. You can close these with a notary and doing it directly through the title company. I generally don't recommend that, but it is allowable, and some folks do want to do that as well. But I always recommend having an attorney. This is a family mortgage, and as I said, it's a needs-based mortgage. What are we solving for? I typically like to get together with the family, determine what the needs are, lay the options out to my clients, and really let them choose. This is a program that if we don't get the family together to really determine what we're trying to solve for, there's really no pathway to go forward. But there is a lot of solving ability. I say a lot of solve built into this mortgage. Credit scores don't matter, as I said, generally with reverse mortgage. Income really doesn't matter. So a lot of times, I could be solving for tax liens. I'm working with a client right now. Husband passed away. She just was not in a position to really pay the taxes. The taxes got, behind significantly. Now the sheriff is going to put her home into tax foreclosure.
Yeah.
But she's got $400,000+ worth of home equity. Did not realize a reverse mortgage could be the solution. She thought she couldn't borrow money because she had very little income, and she thought she destroyed her credit score, which she probably, she certainly well may have. With reverse, it doesn't matter because, again, she meets the age requirement. She's in her late 70s. She's got a lot of equity in the house. I can wipe those problems away. So I could pay taxes. She always owns the home. So not only do I get her current on taxes, I keep her current. And that's the real key with reverse mortgage. We don't want to see people get into trouble. The government doesn't want to see people get into trouble. We want to keep you at home, keep you solvent, keep you at home, happy, where you want to be, where the government wants you to be. That's why this home was created. It's your cheapest option. It's also the government's cheapest option. The government doesn't want seniors going into higher, more costly places to live. where they need a lot of care. They want them to be at home, which is exactly where you want to be.
Johnny boy.
Yeah, Robert, something I see when people first retire and they have a IRA or a 401k, it seems like in many cases the first 2 years they're reluctant to use any of the money. Do you find that's the same case when they get that lump sum from that reverse mortgage?
You know, I do see that sometimes. You know, clients have dutifully saved their whole lives, to your point. Once we flip that script and you retire, it's sometimes very difficult to spend that money. And when it's home equity in my world, sometimes it's even more difficult. They feel that, well, this is my single largest asset, my home. It's my single largest asset probably that I'm ever going to have in my life. I don't want to start tapping into the equity. But remember, we don't want you to spend all your equity. The government doesn't want you to spend all your equity. Because you still own the home, you're hopefully, as you know, if our models are correct, your home appreciation moving forward is going to keep up with the interest that you're paying. So if we start you out with a $100,000 loan as a quick example, and I'm charging you 6% interest, at the end of the year you're going to owe me $106,000. Let's hope that next year your home is worth $6,000 more than it's worth today. So yeah, your balance might be going up because you're accruing interest, but your value over the same time is going up.
And if you didn't spend any money and kept it in the credit line, you're earning 6%, which if you look at our past shows on strikes.tomhillradio.com, John talks about compounding and teaches that. This is a public service here on Tom Hill Live. Right now, I'd like to also, I asked you to get your pens and your paper, so here it is. First, we'll let Robert say a couple words about himself and how to get a hold of him.
Sure. I'm Robert Filippone. I am a licensed reverse mortgage originator. I am based here in Connecticut. I'm a Waterbury native. I live in the area. I cover the entire state of Connecticut, however. Best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone, 203-558-7325. And I will repeat that, 203-558-7325. I do make house calls. Typically, I meet my clients in their homes or in a coffee shop if that's where they want to have the initial meeting, and we can do a personalized proposal. I start out very slow. I build clients a proposal for free. It shows the interest rate, every dollar of closing costs, and probably most importantly, how much money you can anticipate getting. I'll also determine what the need is. What are we trying to solve for? This is a program that I believe in very much. I know it's very misunderstood. I get a lot of questions about this, and I have a lot of clients that maybe have a little bit mistrust. And this is not a program to take the title of your home. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. You always own your home. You always have lifetime occupancy.
Here's where I jump in. Don't go into something without going to your family lawyer and getting a little advice. Or bring one of your kids along. It's a family thing, like you said. Okay, money man, who are you?
I'm John Frasco, Fidelity Finance, all facets of commercial lending. Phone number is 203-707-4791.
And I want to thank John for getting involved with the program, our announcer and co-host tonight, and he subs for me. I think last week he subbed. How did it go as sub last week without me?
They told me it went fantastic.
So, and again, I'm Tom Hill, 203-755-HILL, a commercial real estate broker for 41 years, hold the CCIM and the SIOR designations, and I'd be happy to meet you too. There's no charge for a intro to find out how I could possibly help you, especially from your point of view. So, I have another good question for you, Robert.
Sure.
Does the house have to undergo a property inspection before you issue the mortgage?
I do not need a property inspection. I need only an appraisal. Now, this is an FHA mortgage. This is a government program, remember. So FHA is involved. FHA appraiser is also going to do an FHA inspection, but it's only for health and safety issues, which are very minimal. I can go through very quickly. The roof has to have a minimal effective life. As long as there's not a blue tarp on the roof, you're generally going to be okay. We want to make sure there's nothing out there that can compromise your health or safety, which is typically falling or tripping hazards. Stairways have to have handrails. The good news is, and by the way, peeling paint, if there's any peeling paint, we don't need a full paint remediation, but we will have to do a scrape and paint. Good news is we could typically do that after closing. So I could pay off your mortgage, get you current on your taxes, and we have up to 1 year after closing to complete any repairs, and you can do that with the reverse mortgage proceeds
Can
that you're going to receive.
condominiums qualify for reverse mortgage?
You can do condominiums. So this is eligible homes needs to be a primary residence. It could be a 1 to 4 family home. We can do condos. We can do manufactured housing. I can do mixed use properties. Just about anything as long as it's a primary residence that you live in. We can't do it on investment properties.
John?
I got a quick question for you.
None of your questions are quick.
Well, all right, this is going to be a semi-quick question. You said that they're in the house for the rest of their life. What would happen if, in the event that they probably want to move south or something? How would that work?
Sure. There's only, what we didn't talk about is how you pay a reverse mortgage back. And you pay me back when you exit the home. There's only 3 ways that you're going to exit the home per FHA and really through common sense. Number 1, you just voluntarily move. So if you move out of the home as your primary residence, you've got to pay off the reverse mortgage plus the accrued interest. You've got 6 months to do that, by the way. So this is not something you need to do in a week. Number 2, you have some sort of a health event. Doctor says you're going to need to live in the nursing home for the rest of your life. You're never going to be able to come home again. If that happens, you got to pay the reverse mortgage because, again, you don't live in the home anymore. And number 3 is you pass away. Short of those 3 items, you are in the home for the rest of your life. And if you're married, your spouse is going to be in for the rest of his or her life as well. Both spouses would always have occupancy for life.
Wow.
Let me have a follow-up on that.
Sure.
How does it work if there's only one person in the house and that person passes and then now it goes into the estate? Now it's got to be it's how is that handled by let's say the heirs to the person that passed?
Sure. I mean, it's a great question. So the heirs want to know, what happens. And really, here's what happens. This is a mortgage like any other mortgage. So the home is going to follow the dictates of the will or whatever the probate court determines. The home is going to go to the heirs. This is the biggest misunderstanding of reverse mortgage. Everyone thinks that we get the house when the client passes away. Absolutely 100% not true. The home passes to the heirs. Typically the heirs, if they want, they could buy the home and take occupancy themselves. But more often than not, they sell the home. They use the proceeds from the sale to pay off whatever's owed on the reverse
They
mortgage.
have 6 months to pay
Yep.
off you, right?
And they keep whatever's left over.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're really, and that's the same exact thing that would happen right now if you have a mom or dad that's in the house with a home equity line and were to pass away. You're going to inherit the house, but you still got to pay back. That lien follows the property. So typically you're going to sell the house, pay off the home equity line, and keep whatever's left over. Reverse mortgage works the same way.
So in essence, it's more liberal than a regular mortgage because when you sell your house with a regular mortgage, it has to pass fee simple. So
Due on sale.
So as soon as it's sale, you got to pay off the mortgage, whereas you're giving them 6 months after the sale.
Yep.
This lien isn't going away.
But I
Right.
mean, they still have 6 months to pay it.
Yep, you have 6 months to pay it. As long as you're exercising good faith efforts to sell the home, you have it listed and so forth, you have up to 6 months to sell the property, even if the former occupant had passed away. So we're not going to force you to sell the house in 2 days or sell it below market, that sort of thing. You have time to prep the house, sell it, find the right buyer, and hopefully get top dollar for
Which
it.
means you understand the way the market works, and you want to get your money and you want them to get theirs. So is this covering the situation with heirs and family members that are asking questions?
Yeah, I hope that it does. One other question that the heirs have is they say, well, I'm on title. I have elder children that might be my age or older that say, I'm on title to my mom's house. Can I remain on title? And the answer is yes. So I can close with adult children on title. I can close with a power of attorney. A lot of times I have clients that have cognitive issues. One of the spouses has cognitive issues. I can close with a power of attorney. I can close in a trust. All of those are available in reverse mortgage. And no matter how we close, again, the heirs always are going to get the property. Now, let's flip that question on its head, Tom. What happens if we have a 70-year-old borrower that could easily live for 30 more years? What if you accrue 30 years worth of interest, and somehow the year 2008 comes again and value of real estate goes down? What happens if mom passes away? and more money is owed than the value of the property? The answer is the heirs are not on the hook for that. This is a mortgage that has insurance tied to it, mortgage insurance. If the home is underwater at the time of the client exiting the home, the mortgage insurance pays the difference, almost like gap insurance would do on a car.
All right, so a lot of great things about this that I'm hearing. John, what's your take on it? Sound
like
good to you?
Sounds very good, especially if you're cash strapped. And I mean, they give you a different series of options how you can take the money, how you can apply it. It seems like, until you leave, you don't have to pay it off. They're very liberal on giving you those 6 months to pay them off. They're also giving you time to know that, hey, it may take a while to sell the house, so they're being very good on that. So I mean, I think it's really trying to help you out if you're in this predicament where you could use the equity in your house.
And again, I guess the red flag that keeps coming up to me, to the people that take the benefit of this mortgage and take the proceeds, they have to have help with budgeting and not misusing the money and making good decisions, financial counseling. Do they have a child that's going to help them with them? Or do they have and if you're a parent and you don't trust your kids, maybe you don't want them helping you with the budget. So you got to look at everything when it comes to money, because your relatives aren't always your allies. Not to go negative, it's just a fact to see families that fight.
It does happen.
Not and who are your biggest cheerleaders where you get big? How do the CPAs feel about this program in that range? There's a lot of people have, at least I know we always have a CPA with our little business and our husband and wife operations.
I'll answer the question this way. My biggest fans of the program are those who understand it. So few people understand this program. There's so much misinformation floating out there. Many people think they don't like the program, but they don't know all the mechanics of how it works. So that's why I've devoted my only business to reverse mortgage. So I don't do purchases, refis, home equity lines. I do reverse mortgage and reverse mortgage only. I educate families. My referrals typically come to me from elder law attorneys to keep mom and dad in the home, keep them financially solvent. Financial advisors, again, if we have clients that have cash under management with a financial advisor, one thing that, there's a sequence of return. If you watched any of read any of the prospectuses or talked to a financial advisor, they want you to draw money at specific times. Well, that's not very easy to do. If you just need the money today, you can't follow that financial advisor's direction always. But there is another source, a reverse mortgage. There is no prepayment penalty ever with reverse mortgage. This is an untapped resource. Set it up, put the money in the line of credit, and if you want to take money at a future time out of your financial advisor's portfolio, or managed by your financial advisor, and pay it off, you can do that too. Flexibility is built into this product.
John.
I got a question for you. Other than you, I mean, you've been giving us a lot of good information. I think some people might like to read about it themselves or look into it themselves. Is there another source where they could find out information on reverse mortgages?
Give your phone number again.
You certainly can call me. You need a qualified reverse mortgage person. I'd recommend a book called Understanding Reverse. It is a book written by a gentleman by the name of Dan Hultquist, Hulquist. Dan has wrote a fantastic book. He updates it every year. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Understanding Reverse by Dan Hultquist. If I could appeal to you to not do one thing, please just don't go to YouTube. There's so much bad information up there about reverse. It's the so-called anecdotal evidence, but it's rife with inaccuracies. Read Dan's book, or better yet, talk to your financial advisor. If your financial advisor has questions, refer them to me.
Or if you don't have a financial advisor, look at this show over again and just take it in. You could talk to a few of your friends. I recommend you never do any of these financial transactions where there's going to be a lien on your house without a family lawyer. And there's another tip if you don't want to spend money ahead of time. WTIC 1080 AM has a show every Saturday from 12 to 1 put on by the nonprofit Board of Lawyers. What do you call that? They're lawyers, a bar. The Bar Association of Greater Hartford has a show 12 to 1, and they take calls. And I'm a regular caller to that show with regard to real estate matters. but they can help you. You can call and ask about a reverse mortgage there if you'd like. Again, I know there's a lot of people that don't want to spend money, but if you have a $400,000 or $500,000 worth of equity in your house, and you're not going to, I think you can get even if you don't want to spend a few $100s to talk to a lawyer, and most of them will give you a free consultation to see if you want to hire them, you're making a big mistake. What do you think, John? You close a lot of loans with private lenders.
Part of the reason why I asked for an alternate set of information is, like Robert recommended that book. I think if people read that book first and then they talk to Robert, they realize that what he's saying is in tandem with what's written in the book, so they know he's telling you the truth. That facilitates confidence. So I think a little education up front makes you find out who's good and who's not. And I'm sure Robert's going to be pleasing many people with the information that he's giving them. So I always say, always do a little of your own research and then go out and seek it from the professionals or the experts.
All right, and talking about reading books, what are you guys reading these days? Newspapers, books, internet, and if you're not ready for that question, I'll tell you what I'm reading. But we like to talk about that on this show. With the radio, I always had my What Am I Reading? And if you follow my LinkedIn page, Tom Hill 3, What Am I Reading?
Oh, so I'm always reading my trade publications and so forth. I'm always reading things on the internet, and I constantly have a book that I go back and back and forth to. So right now, I'm a baseball fan. If anybody didn't know, so I'm reading a book about baseball, and that's
and it's called. Baseball. It's called baseball.
Having a mental.
You caught him off guard.
I do it on purpose. People do it to me all the time.
I've gone blank. I've gone blank on the title, but I will tell
newspapers?
you. I read the Republican American every single day religiously. I'm old school. I get it print, and I read it cover to cover. I like reading print because you come across articles in print from me that I probably would have skipped over on the internet. I think I get a broader understanding of what's out there.
And you're rating on Hearst Media now that they took over Rep Am?
It seems like the paper's getting smaller. I remember years ago when it happened to USA Today, and it seemed to get smaller and smaller. So I'm definitely noticing less content, less about the Waterbury, greater Waterbury area. But it's really, I like to get the local news, and I live in the area, so, it's still the paper I'm going to get for the rest of my life.
Think of the baseball book name yet?
I have not. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it.
Not a problem.
But it's a historical book about baseball.
I love it. History's great. John?
Yeah, one thing I noticed about the newspaper here, the Republican American, are they making the print smaller now?
I just wrote a letter to the editor because the editorials, which are really well written, are too small. They're jamming too much in. Yeah. I hope that's going to end up in the paper the next couple of days. And people have been writing because elderly people need big print. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just noticed it's a lot easier to read when the font is a little bit larger. I just noticed, when you're looking at the baseball scores, it's really small. I mean, I think they were decreased the size. It's got to be like an 8 font or something like that.
As Robert said, the paper's getting smaller. They don't have the advertisers they used to have, so they're trying to find ways of efficiency. But you got to serve the readers. I'm a fan of the paper. Don't get me wrong. So, what are you reading for newspapers? What are you reading for?
I read the Republican American. I read the New York Post. I read Barron's. I used to read the Wall Street Journals every day. I always found that a good paper. Another paper I used to read a lot was, what was it?
Used to read doesn't count.
All right, we'll skip that one.
It's not like you're not going to be on the show again.
Oh, okay. I just finished reading that Daily Stoic, which was about philosophy. I just mentioned it last time.
You did? You finished?
Yeah, I finally finished it.
And do you mark it up when you're reading it or just read it?
Yes, I do, because what I find... You said you read the Bible. Did you ever notice sometimes when you read a passage in the Bible, it may have meaning to you today, and then you read it in 6 months from now, and it has a different meaning?
Yes.
Same is true with philosophy. You may read something that's written in philosophy, it gives you one meaning today, maybe tomorrow you read it, you get something different out of it. So usually the ones that I tend to like, I highlight, and then I go back to and read them later on. I use it on a Kindle. I find that to be very handy.
Yeah, I think it may be the Kindle. The Jehovah's Witness that I'm a colleague of, due to my youngest son, they have a reader. It might be a Kindle where the Bible, if you've got a passage, you can go right to it. And I go to a Bible study every Monday night on Zoom because a lot of these passages need to be explained, and it's interesting to know who the authors were of all the different Bible stories. And what blows my mind about it is, and I'm not Bible thumping here, What blows my mind about it is the world's always been nuts. It's nothing new. They killed Jesus because they didn't like what he said. So, I mean, this is nothing new what's happening with who hates Trump, who hates Biden, and division.
Well, they say humanity stays the same throughout the ages. It doesn't change from generation to generation.
Well, we hope
You're always going to have jealousy, greed, envy, all of those
Oh,
options.
see? That's a good one, John. That's why we have him on the program. I mentioned a book called The Back Mechanic. If you're having any your back problems, amazing. My PT recommended it to me, and when I get done home tonight, I'm going to go home and do a push-pull-carry workout, which will be some wall push-ups, some pull-ups, carrying some weights around the house, and doing some light weights, because we're all push, pulling, and carrying. And my chiropractor, Robert Porzio, always cracks me up. He says he gets all kinds of business anytime anybody goes on vacation. And would either one of you know why?
Stop the activity.
Schlepping luggage, in and out of the trunk, etc. And that always requires an adjustment because people lift wrong.
Yeah. To our point from earlier, that's with shoveling the snow as well.
Bingo!
When we shovel the snow this weekend, use your legs.
One thing I noticed, anybody who has back trouble, do you ever notice about the same time they all have pain? I think barometric pressure, humidity, temperature has something to do with that as well.
Some people more than others, but the back mechanic, Dr. McGill, says, well, if you're bending over and you feel pain in your back,
You're
stop.
doing it wrong, yeah.
Stop. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left to go. Let's go around. Let's see. Let me just see if we have anything we missed. Can a reverse mortgage be used to purchase another new home? I wanted to get one to buy a house in Misquamicut again.
You can, as long as it's a primary residence.
Oh.
Here, if you want to move to Florida, you want to move to a warmer climate, again, homes are expensive now. So you sell a home up here for $400,000. Maybe you want to go to Florida and move near your kids or something like that.
Oh.
What if the home down there is $600,000? You say, well, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I don't want to take on a mortgage at this stage of my life. I want to retire at this point. So I could, a lot of folks say I want to nix that. But here's an idea you can do with reverse mortgage. Take your proceeds from the sale of the property in the greater Waterbury area, put roughly half those proceeds down on the property in Florida, and let me give you a reverse mortgage for the other half. Now, yes, you owe the money, it's a mortgage, but it comes with no monthly mortgage payment. Now you've transitioned yourself to move, and you've done it all in one swoop, and you didn't need to pay all cash. And you could take some of that money that you otherwise would have spent and stick it back into your portfolio with your financial advisor.
So
There's a lot
in the pre-show, then, we were talking off air, you do lending all over the country.
My company is Supreme Lending. We are a reverse mortgage lender. We lend all over the country in all 50 states. I am not personally licensed in all 50 states, but my company is. So if we have clients that are moving to another state, we can help you. One final thing I would suggest to the listeners of tonight's show, think about this. One scenario I have that I think some of my clients aren't always thinking about. If you have a husband and wife, I see this scenario over and over. They're doing okay. They're making it monthly, they're covering their bills. Maybe there's not a lot of extras when they have a one-time expense. And maybe they face a little bit of difficulty when their taxes come up, but they're doing okay. And then one of the spouses passes away. If there's any money, or if they're faced with a big problem, their household income got cut in half if they're on Social Security. So the remaining spouse has one Social Security check now versus the two that they had before, but all the debts and the carry costs remain. Reverse mortgage is a perfect way to fix that solution. I would certainly suggest doing it beforehand while both the husband and the wife are both still alive. Set up the reverse mortgage and do it strategically, knowing that you're not going to leave your widow or your widow or spouse, whoever's left, with a problem. Set it up beforehand to know that you'll both be in that house and neither of you will ever face financial problems.
Get advice from an elder lawyer. John Frasco, thank you very much for arranging this guest. This is a fine example of why we have this gentleman on. Put me on the camera, please. This is a perfect reason that John is helping us with this program. Thank you for everybody who has been tuning in. You know your stuff, Mr. Philippone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. I
Let's
appreciate
run
it.
around real quick again. Tell people how to get a hold of you quickly, please.
Sure. Robert Philippone. My cell phone is the best way to get a hold of me, and I do pick up calls. 203 203-558-7325. Again, 203-558-7325.
Okay, Mr. Commercial Lender.
John Frasco, Fidelity Finance Solutions, commercial lending, all facets, 203-707-4791.
Big league member of the Waterbury Regional Chamber and has his own networking group, which I belong to. Tom Hill, 203-755 Hill, commercial real estate broker, 41 years. And, I just got a note from the producer in my ear. If I ever holler at them behind the window again, they're going to... We're going to go to black now because of my aggression. But thank you very much. We'll be back next week. Thanks to John Frasco for last week. We've done a lot of great shows. You can find us on Brass City TV, YouTube channel, and you can find our shows within a couple of days at TomHillRadio.com. So we thank you very much for coming along with us, and feel free to call us off air if you have questions. Thanks again. Woohoo! Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Really
Good show.
good. Smarty
Thank you,
pants.
Tom.
Smarty
Appreciate it.
pants.
Thank you, John.
Excellent.
Thank you.